Mahyanatimirandasya Svakeha Saksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shivave Namah Chitchaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shigo Shiyuda Padkamalam Shigom Vaishnavam Shah Shiyopam Jagajatam Saganarainatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Paritam Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakanalita Shivishakam Vitam Sham Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chatpate Kalpesha Kalpakam Taradakanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Govingi Radhe Vindavanashve Vishabhanu Sutadevi Panamama Haripriye Pankha Kalpta Vishake Pasan Vivisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Namam Vishnu Padai Krishna Pastai Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sinyavadi Paskatyai Desatani. So we continue with our study of the Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction is a summary study of Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's a big book with 2,000 verses, and Prabhupada has summarized it in Nectar of Devotion. And Nectar of Instruction is the essence of this Nectar of Devotion. So we are trying to understand the essence of the process of devotional service and how to practice it properly. So we are presently discussing the third verse of Nectar of Instruction. And Rupa Goswami wrote, Utsaya Nisaya Dayat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangratyagat Sato Vrite Sadbir Bhakti Prashidati. So in this verse, Rupa Goswami mentions 6 principles favorable for the performance of pure devotional service. We discussed already the first 3. The first was Utsaha, being enthusiastic. The second is endeavoring with confidence, Nisayat, and Dayat, being patience. And point 4 states that we should act according to the regulative principles. What are the regulative principles of devotional service? That they are mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj to his father Hiranyakashipu. He said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Pada Sevanam Archanam Varnam Dasyam Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. So we have been discussing for the last few weeks the first item, Shravanam, hearing, and today we will continue to discuss Prahlad Maharaj verse from the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 5. The commentary of this verse, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Varnam Dasyam Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. This verse has a 16 pages purport. I think it's the longest purport of the Bhagavatam. Harikesh Maharaj was typing it out in Scandinavia at that time. And then, anyway, we will now read the section about Kirtanam. Does someone wants to read what's on the screen? Kirtanam. Any volunteers?
I will do it.
Okay, please go ahead.
The hearing of the holy name has been described above. Now let us try to understand the chanting of the holy name, which is the second item in the consecutive order. It is recommended that such chanting be performed very loudly. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni says that without shame he began traveling all over the world, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has advised, I'm not very good at it.
Trinat api shunitshena taror api saisnana amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. So this verse gives the mood of chanting. So it is Prabhupada, Rajna Prabhupada. Let's now try to understand how to chant holy name. So we have discussed in the previous section about hearing, now about chanting. And Srila Prabhupada speaks about Narada Muni. The story of Narada Muni, of his previous life, is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Because 2 lives before, Narada Muni was Upabharana. He was a Gandharva. The Gandharvas, they are demigods, kind of demigods. So you can say the angels. And they are very skilled and in beautiful singing. That they were supposed to be kirtaniers, singers, but singers of the holy name. But Upabharana was a very, very handsome Gandharva. And he attracted so many female Gandharvas that he was a little like a playboy. And one day with his girlfriends, he was attending a festival organized by sages, a Sankirtan festival, meant to glorify Lord Vishnu, to glorify the Supreme Lord. But Upabharana, Prabhupada said, he was not singing the holy name of the Lord. He was singing cinema songs. Cinema songs glorifying the demigods. And the sages became very upset with Upabharana, and they cursed him to become a human being. Not just a human being, but the lowest of human beings, a Sudra. So Upabharana, it took birth. It took birth as the son of a Sudrani. Interesting, it took birth, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, and his father, name of his father is not mentioned, it's not there anymore. It looks a bit like Kali Yuga, that you take birth and the father is not out there anymore, only the mother. But yes, his mother was very pious, and she was cooking for great sages, Bhaktivedantas. And they were not traveling during the Chaturmasya, because traveling is too difficult, and they stayed in one place. And she was cooking for them. And little Narada was associating with them and hearing about Krishna, practically day and night, but because that was the only business of the sages. And he was taking their remnants, he was serving them and was taking the remnants with their permission. That so yes, that and by that it is said after 4 months doing that, he became very sober. That you have boys of 5 years old. He was 5 years old. He had no interest in playing like the other boys. That he just was interested in hearing from the sages. So he became quite sober. But after 4 months, so these sages, they initiated him in the chanting of the holy name. And then the sages left. So what did little Narada do? He had only his mother, and his mother was very attached to him. So did he go back to his mother and he forgot about chanting and hearing about Krishna? No, he continued chanting and he accepted this situation. Krishna has put me in this situation, that's all right. Also a great lesson for us. We should accept the situation in which we are, not thinking that when we change our situation, it will become better. Because you may change your situation, but your karma is going with you. That's the same in whatever place you are. So better to accept our situation, to be satisfied and perform Krishna consciousness according to the situation we are in. And he was chanting, he was thinking, if Krishna wants me to change my situation, let him change it. So then a few months later, his mother, in the middle of the night, went to milk a cow. That's not a normal time for milking a cow. But anyway, she did that. And she was milking the cow, and then she was bitten by a cobra. And she left her body. So when little Narada heard this, then he was thinking, this is Krishna's mercy. He makes me free from this attachment. And he performed the last rituals for his mother. And then he started to chant. And that is what mentioned here. Narada Muni says that without shame he began traveling all over the world, chanting the holy name of the Lord. So he started to go to the north, and he was constantly chanting the holy names. And he comes to so many places which are described in the Bhagavatam: schools, mines, forests, and agricultural grounds. But he had no interest in them, just in the chanting of the holy name. And at a certain moment, Narada Muni was sitting with his back to a pipala tree. He was resting after walking a long distance. And he continued to chant, and suddenly he felt great ecstasy and felt the presence of the Lord in his heart. But then a voice, then he felt that great ecstasy, but then suddenly Krishna disappeared from his heart. And he became disturbed. But he tried to follow the instructions of the sages of these Bhaktivedantas, who showed how he should chant. And he continued chanting like this, but Krishna didn't reappear in his heart. And a voice came from the sky saying that, Narad, I appeared in your heart to inspire you, but there are still some impurities in your heart. And therefore, that you can't feel this ecstasy. So the voice said, you will not see me anymore in this lifetime. But he continued chanting, and he chanted till the end of his days, and when the time came to leave his body, he experienced death as a lightning, and as a flash and lightning, and he was in his spiritual body. That was his experience. He was in his spiritual body, the body of which as he became Narada Muni, but then he entered the body of Mahavishnu, and he reappeared as the son of Brahma. So that is the story of Narada here, who got perfection by this chanting. And Narada is traveling all over the world to propagate this chanting. Now, to perform this chanting properly, Lord Chaitanya gives the mood which will help us to factually experience Krishna's presence within the heart. So Trinata Pushna Shunichna Taura Visrisna Mannamanadna Kirtanya Sudari. Means one should be more humble than a straw in the street, and more tolerant than a tree. A tree is very tolerant. That a tree continues to serve everyone. Under the tree, it gives coolness in the summer, and under the tree it's warm in the winter. That it continues serving. Even if someone cuts him down, it tolerates. And even after cutting down, it continues to serve, because it's providing wood for cooking and so many things. So very tolerant. And amanina manadena. One should not ask honor for oneself and give all honor to others. There's nothing in this world to be proud about or to seek honor for, because Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that Pragatikiyamani guna karmana sarvsa ahankara vimudatma kartam itimanyati. Krishna says, everything is done in this world by the modes of material nature. And one would think that he himself does things in this world. He's a fool. Because everything in this world is done by material nature. And who controls material nature? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Maya Dakshena, Maya Dakshena, Prakriti, Maya Dakshena Prakriti. Krishna is a superintendent of material nature. He controls. So if we understand that, we become humble, tolerant, and give all honor to others. Because that honor, whether you are honored all your entire life, or you are being dishonored your entire life, at the end is the same. You will leave the body. And there is no point anymore of honor and dishonor, because the honor and dishonor is so-called for the body, that not for the soul. The soul is perfect. Only if we accept this formula, we can be peaceful and chant with attention. Otherwise, our attention will be deviated. That why is our attention deviated while chanting? Attachment and aversion. Attachment to what gives pleasure to the body, aversion, what gives pain. But if one follows this formula, one becomes peaceful. Factually, also, this is verse 3 of Shikshastikam, sets the mood for the chanting, but text 4 also set the mood. It says, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasunarim, Kavadavashi, Sakami, Mamacha, Mamicha, Mamishvei, Bhavata, Bhaktya, Hait, Vitvai. So it said, one should not want any followers, any one should not want association with the opposite sex. One should not even ask liberation. Just one should want to serve Krishna birth after birth. That if one comes in this mood and that means surrender to Krishna. You leave it up to Krishna to decide what to do with you. But we make the commitment, we will serve Krishna to our best of our ability. And then Krishna will take care that, and only then you can become peaceful. That it's in Prabhupada, the devotee can very peacefully. Hare Krishna, here we are again. So there was an interruption of the internet that happens.
Yes, ma'am.
Here in Mayapur, but we continue. So we were saying that, yes, that is what Prabhupada explains here. A devotee can be very peaceful, chant the holy name of the Lord by behaving more humbly than the grass, being tolerant like a tree, and offering respect to everyone without expecting honor from anyone else. Such qualifications make it easier to chant the holy name. So that is also explained by Queen Kunti in her prayers to Lord Krishna, beautiful prayers which are recorded in the 8th chapter of the 1st canton. She says, Shan Masvarya Shruta Shibir Edamana Punarmuham Naivrat Datidatum Vat Vam Akinshana Gocharam. So in this verse, Queen Kunti says how to pray feelingly to Krishna. The chanting is also prayer to Krishna. Please engage me in your service. So how to play with feeling. One cannot pray feelingly, she says, unless one is materially exhausted. Then she says to Krishna in next verse, you are the property of the devotee who is materially exhausted. Materially exhausted means that one should give up 4 intoxications which are contrary to this mood explained here. Shanmashvaya Shruta Shribir. Janma, Aishvara, Shruta, Shibir. These are the four. Janma, thinking I have a good birth, that I'm Indian or American, very fortunate. No, that's the body concept of life. And Aishvarya, I'm wealthy, I'm so fortunate. But Queen Kun said, no, if you have a lot of wealth, you become more attached to it, and then chanting becomes difficult. Shruta Shibir. Shruta means education. One is proud of one's education and one's knowledge. But all knowledge we get from Krishna. It's not our own knowledge. That Shibir, beauty. Beauty in this world is very temporary. That soon you get a different look. That so in that way, we should not be attached to all these things. And then it becomes easier to chant. You can chant with feeling. With feeling, what is that feeling? That is a feeling of devotion. You can put devotion in your chanting. And when you put devotion in your chanting, the chanting becomes easy. Your mind becomes easily controlled by the devotion. That's the only way to control your mind is love of God, that devotion. Then it becomes easy to chant. So the process of transcendental chanting can be easily performed by anyone, even if one is physically unfit, classified lower than others, devoid of material qualification or not at all elevated in terms of pious activities, are all unnecessary for advancement in spiritual life. So it's Prabhupada here says aristocrat by birth, that's Janma, that's the first advanced education, Shruti, beautiful body features is Shibir, and wealth is Aishvarya. So this is, it quotes here the verse Queen Kunti in the purport. It doesn't say it, but it's just the quotation of this verse that shows our Prabhupada is always writing Shastra. And similar results of pious activities are all unnecessary for advancement in spiritual life. For one can very easily advance simply by chanting the holy name. So it is understood from the authoritative source of Vedic literature that especially in this age, Kali Yuga, people are short-living, extremely bad in their habits, and inclined to accept methods of devotional service that are not bona fide. So here Prabhupada is paraphrasing another verse of the Bhagavatam. It's verse 1:10. Payanalpa yusa sabya kalavasmin suyechana mandasumanda matayo mantabhakyo padricha. People in this age are very unfortunate because they are short-sighted. They see only the moment of enjoyment. That they are always upaduta, always disturbed, and always quarreling with each other. So that's and short-lived, that the living expectation is going down with Kali Yuga. At the end of Kali Yuga, if you are 30 years old, you will be an old man. So best not to remain in this Kali Yuga. But there is hope when we chant holy names. Allen Ginsberg, he had a conversation with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was describing all all these characteristics of the people of Kali Yuga from the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. And he was saying in this age, men will have long hair and think that they are beautiful. Of course, there were all these hippies at that time. That was very accurate. If one can maintain one's family with working, one will be called a hero. And justice. If one can have justice when one has a lot of money, and that's also characteristic today. You can buy it, just justice. We see that in so many ways. And at the end of Kali Yuga, he said, people will, there will be no food anymore, no vegetables and so on, no meat. So they will eat their own children, and it was heavy that. And Allen Ginsberg said, but what with your disciples? Will they still be around? And Prabhupada said, no, my disciples will go back to God in this lifetime. So Prabhupada said it, but there is a chance for us to get out as soon as possible by this chanting of the holy name. And so Kali Yuga people are inclined to accept methods of devotional service that are not bona fide. So this chanting of the holy name must be performed in the right internal mood. This internal mood is a mood of correct Sambandha Gyan. Understand that we are part and parcels of Krishna and servants of Krishna. And Rupa Goswami said this chanting of the holy name. For this, we are using the tongue, but our senses are materially contaminated. And by our blunt material senses, we cannot see Krishna. But when we use the tongue to chant the holy name and only to taste Krishna Prasad, then the tongue will become purified. We will become purified, and then we will be able to see Krishna in the chanting of the holy name. So Prabhupada continued to speak about people in Kali Yuga. Moreover, they are always disturbed by material conditions, and they are mostly unfortunate. Under the circumstances, the performance of other processes such as Jnana, Dan, Tapa and Kriya, sacrifices, charity and so on, are not at all possible. So these are processes that were performed in previous ages, that Jagya, fire sacrifices, that was the process of Treta Yuga. That dana, giving charity, tapa, austerities, and sacrifices. Yes, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this charity and this performance of tapasya and sacrifice should never be given up. But it's very difficult to perform. So we perform also these processes in Krishna consciousness, which were there in previous ages. Sometimes we do fire sacrifices, or initiations, or a jagya for Nrsimhadev. But that will only be successful if it's combined in Kali Yuga with the chanting of the holy name. Otherwise, it will bear no effect. It must be combined with the chanting of the holy name. Yes. And charity that Rupa Goswami will speak about that in the next verse of Nectar of Instruction, about charity. That he says devotees perform 6 loving exchanges. That offering gifts, receiving gifts. Offering prasadam, receiving prasadam. This is the charity. The gift we give to others is the holy name and is knowledge about Krishna. Prabhupada's books, that's real charity. And that's the best sacrifice also. The best sacrifice for this age is the chanting of the holy name. And that's important. That when they in Vrindavan, at the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple, there they because at the beginning in Vrindavan, the Krishna Balaram temple was known as the temple of the foreigners, the English speaking, and the residents of Vrindavan would not accept it as bona fide unless the installation ceremony was done by local Brahmins, and Prabhupada engaged local Brahmins to do the sacrifice, but at the same time the devotees were performing kirtan. And Prabhupada said the kirtan, that was a real installation. So without kirtan, the installation, that it doesn't work because everything is full of faults in Kali Yuga, and the holy name purifies one from this fault. Therefore, he says it's recommended. Harinam, Harinam, Harinameva Kevalam, Kala Nasteva, 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 Gatir, Anyatam. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So it's 3 times repeated. That it's in the Vedas is said if something is very important, it should be 3 times repeated. That so Prabhupada says that is the best process for success in life. In other ages, the chanting of the name is equally powerful, but especially in this age, it's most powerful. And then Prabhupada quotes a verse from the 12th canto that Kirtanya eva Krishnasya mukta sangha paramvrajat. Simply by chanting the holy name, one is liberated and returns back home together. So that's the process. First, we must become purified, then we become liberated. When you become liberated, you develop love for Krishna, and then you go back to Godhead. So Prabhupada mentioned here, but this is a process of chanting. That the chanting of the holy name is a process. First, one must come to the purification. The purification happens only if we come in the right mood, which is explained before. Trinata Pishnitsna Taura Visisna Mananamanadana Kirtanya Sudahari. One should be humble, tolerant, devoid of false prestige, not attached to wealth, not attached to followers, not attached to get free from all this stress and get liberation. That sometimes we pray to Krishna to get rid of all this stress. But if you perform pure devotional service, we don't pray for that to Krishna. Krishna is in our heart, he knows our distress already, and he will take care of it. So yeah, in that one, that's why If one is able to perform the process of devotional service, one must adopt the chanting as a principal method for advancing in spiritual life. And then Prabhupada quotes a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this verse, you can look at it, is a verse describing Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was predicted in the Bhagavatam. How many incarnations we were predicted in the Bhagavatam? Like at the time, the Bhagavatam was written down 5,000 years ago. Of course, it's older than 5,000, but it was written down 5,000 years ago. Buddha had not yet appeared yet, but Buddha was predicted in the Bhagavatam. There's still one incarnation in this Kali Yuga. There's an incarnation of Kali Yuga, which has to appear Kalki, which appears at the end. He will not preach, he will just with his sword kill all the sinful people. And by that they will become purified, being killed by him. That is Kalki avatar, which will appear. But also Lord Chaitanya was predicted in various verses of the Bhagavatam. And this is here one verse, 11.5.32. Krishna varnam tvisa krishnam sangho pangastra parshadam Shachnai sankirtana prayer yanti su medasam. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, is Krishna himself is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So this is a verse, Prabhupada's translation from Chaitanya Charitamrita, yes, then it's. So this text is from Srimad Bhagavatam, that's this verse here. And Srila Jiva Goswami explained this verse on his commentary on the Bhagavatam, known as Krama Sandarbha, wherein he says that Lord Krishna also appears with a golden complexion. So where does this golden complexion come from? Who has this golden complexion? It's Srimati Radharani. So Lord Chaitanya appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, very compassionate mood. And because he adopted her mood, he got her golden complexion. So that golden Lord is Lord Chaitanya, who is worshipped by intelligent man in this age. Intelligent man. It requires spiritual intelligence to take up the chanting of the holy name. If one is not pious, one will not take up the chanting of the name. Piety comes from pious activities in this life or in the previous life. Pious activities are activities in Krishna consciousness. These are the real pious activities. And we may have performed it unknown even by serving a devotee, pleasing a devotee, unknown devotional service, but one must be pious. One must stop sinful activities. People who are drinking alcohol or are eating meat, they cannot understand anything about spiritual life. They cannot even begin to understand. We see many times in our movement people who are already vegetarian for some time, they become attracted to this movement. That because their covering of their spiritual intelligence is less dense, and that so to take up this chanting, one must have spiritual intelligence. And when one practices this chanting, immediately when one starts to chant holy name, one gets a feeling, I'm not this body, I'm different. One has not yet realized it, but it comes immediately. One feels I'm different from this body. And that's the power of the chanting of the holy name. That it purifies you. The more you become purified, the more happy becomes. Therefore, Prabhupada said, chant and be happy, because it purifies you from all the causes of unhappiness. And it's a gradual process that anyway, that's Lord Chaitanya is worshipped by intelligent men in this age. And then he speaks about Gargamuni, how we predicted that Lord Chaitanya indirectly, because he said to Nanda Maharaj, Gargamuni performed the name-giving ceremony of Krishna in a cowshed in secret, because so that nobody would know it, because otherwise if Kamsa would know where Krishna is, that would be a problem. So Gargamuni said, this Krishna is now black, but he appeared in other ages as red, white, and yellow. The white is Amsa avatar in Satya Yuga. And in Treta Yuga, the red one is Yahya avatar. Then in Dvapara Yuga, you have the black one, Krishna, and then the fourth is the golden one. The golden one did not appear yet. Who is the golden one? It's Lord Chaitanya. So that's interesting. But it's good to understand that Lord Chaitanya is predicted in the Bhagavatam. Not only in this verse, but also other verses. Therefore, I will try to get on the screen another verse in which Lord Chaitanya, his appearance is predicted. And I think it's in the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsimhadev. It's somewhere around here. It's called a verse starting with Tyrian. Let's see if we can find it. But it's good to be very aware that Lord Chaitanya is here. It is predicted in the Bhagavatam. And this is a verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsimhadev. Just after Lord Nrsimhadev had killed his father, that Prahlad Maharaj offers prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. And in this verse it says, Itam Ritirhyach Rishidevaya Savatarech Lokan Vibhavayasiham Sijirat Patipan Dharman Mahapurusapasiyuhan Vritam Chana Kalaya Dabhavastayugota Sattvam. In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O Lord, you protect the principles of religion. You say, according to the age, in the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore you are known as Triyuga, or the Lord who appeared in 3 yugas. So Prahlad said, you appear in Kali Yuga as Shana avatar. You are not openly telling everyone you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You appear in the mood of your own devotee. And that is Lord Chaitanya, who is predicted here. That it speaks very clearly. In Kali Yuga, you appear. So who else than Lord Chaitanya would it be? So Srila Prabhupada writes, Lord Chaitanya appeared in Kali Yuga as a supreme. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he never asserted himself as such. On the contrary, whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as being as good as Krishna, he blocked his ears with his hands, denying his identity with Krishna, because he was playing the part of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya knew that in Kali Yuga there would be many bogus incarnations pretending to be God, and therefore he avoided asserting himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, in many Vedic literature, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, and there you find this verse, the same verse again. Krishna Varmanam Tvisa Krishnam, Sankopas Banghastra Parshadam, Sechnai Sankirtanar Payer, Yanti Sumedasa. Yeah, Krishna Varnam, one who always repeats the syllables of the word Krishna. And it comes Sangopa it comes with his associates as Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivas, mentioned here. Then they will, Sakhir, Sankirtana Payer, they will distribute his Sankirtan. And Yayanti Sumedasa, you have to be Medasa, you have to be intelligent to understand this. So the same aspects are mentioned here in these teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, therefore, if one is able to perform other poses of devotional service, one must adopt the chanting of the holy name as a principal method of advancing in spiritual life. So yes, this means that we can perform all the other processes, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam, which we will discuss further, and which are mainly the process of devotion of deity worship. So we perform also deity worship in this Kali Yuga, but combined with the holy name, the chanting, that makes you qualified. Nobody is a qualified Brahmin in this age, but if one is a devotee and chants the holy name, one becomes qualified. Therefore, to be performing deity worship, you must follow the standards of chanting 60 rounds, Prabhupada said. Follow the 4 regulative principles. Then you become qualified to chanting. If you don't chant, you are not qualified for deity worship. That is going together. So those who are very sharp in intelligence should adopt this process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. One should not, however, manufacture different types of chanting. One should adhere seriously to the chanting of the holy name as recommended in the scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the chanting of the holy name, that this is the main method in this age. And when I was last year at a festival of my Guru Maharaj in Ujjain, there was a senior disciple, a Mataji disciple of Prabhupada. And she came to the stage and she begged everyone, we should chant the holy name as Krishna gave it to us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But nowadays many chant Ramo, but that's not the mantra Srila Prabhupada gave us. We should chant Rama. That and the pronunciation is Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Rama, the last A is very short, Rama. That's the correct pronunciation in the Sanskrit. And it's important we try to do it correctly and not try to chant any other mantra or pronunciation which Srila Prabhupada didn't approve. So I will stop here. Are there any questions, please?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Sharan Prabhu. My basis.
Dandavats Pranam.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Yeah. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. So it's yes, it's very fascinating looking at all of the different forms and the ways in which Krishna embodies when he comes to Earth. And so I was thinking about as you were giving the class, I was thinking about the Kalki avatar, Sri Kalki, and that's very fascinating to think of how he will look and what will happen and how he, it's like very exciting stuff, how he will do all of that. Obviously, I don't want to be in the material world at that point. And I was just thinking, I was wondering, do the liberated jivas in Goloka Vrindavan, do they look at the material world and the things that are happening, or do you just not care about it at that point? Do they look at the way the Lord incarnates on earth, or do we know about that?
In the spiritual world, they are always focused on their relationship with Krishna. And they are even not aware of the existence of the material world. They don't even know what materialistic activities are. Because that's the pure soul that and therefore Krishna says one who goes there never comes back. He never comes back because he does not desire to come back. But Prabhupada says, well, that in this material world, that Shanaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka, these are the higher planetary systems where also devotees are living in. They are following other processes, but they are already liberated. And normally they go back to the spiritual world when at the end of Brahma's lifetime. But they say sometimes these great souls in these planets, Tapaloka, Chanaloka, Brahmaloka, which is still at the edge of the spirit or of the material world, but they are as good as spiritual. And these souls feel compassion for the people, especially in the middle planetary systems, the earthly planetary systems. And sometimes they come down to preach here, and they appear as prophets or messiahs and so on. I found that very interesting. He's using these words that so they are feeling compassion and calm, but in the material world they are oblivious about what's happening in the material world. They don't know that. They have no idea that, because they are absorbed completely in Krishna's service, and they don't know only Krishna's service. Something selfish cannot appear in their minds. They don't know what it is. So that's different. So that's what I can say on this. Does that help, Charanacharya?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Thank you. Our time is over. I look forward to have our class next week on our normal time of Wednesday evening, if that's okay.
Yes.
I still will be in Mayapur. And I will give the class tomorrow morning. I will be here evening.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
I hope tomorrow morning to see you again.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.